All right. Good morning. Good morning as we get going on this Monday. That traveling earlier thing started a while ago, but we are going to start to see it on 95 over on the seacoast between Maine and New Hampshire. And of course, Massachusetts, that state down there. And of course, 93, the corridor right through the capital region up north and everywhere east and west. Good morning. Let's start with the basic. Good morning, New Hampshire. Good morning, Maine. WTSN, AM and FM. Good morning, New England. We have that brand new signal for you up in the Lakes region, in addition to our AM and FM network, WEMJ 98.3 FM, HD2, digital clarity, if you like that stuff. And of course, streaming worldwide, everywhere else, streaming worldwide. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play the Pulse of an H, and our YouTube channel. Also streaming if you want to watch 9 to 10, the first hour. We make it easy for you on YouTube, the Pulse of an H streaming. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, the Pulse of an H. Good morning, J-Dog. And a reminder, we want you to nominate a veteran in your life. Today, we need more nominations. It's an incredible opportunity to win a brand new state-of-the-art hot tub for a veteran who has served. And I get some feedback, J-Dog, on Friday about this from some of the veterans. I want to be crystal clear. Nominate a veteran in your life at the pulseofnh.com. Right up top in the banner. You can't miss it, like New York Times. Well, maybe not that. Hot Tubs for Heroes, right up top. Hot Tubs for Heroes. All we want is someone who served. And you don't have to be someone who's been really badly injured or a combat veteran. That's fine. Any veteran who served and put on the uniform, thank you for your service. Nominate a veteran in your life. Just about anyone who ages after serving more than a few years has some wear and tear on the body. And these hot tubs are made for incredible comfort, but also hydrotherapy. These are state-of-the-art, brand new hot tubs, state-of-the-art, brand new. The value is a lot, and it's a great addition to your home. Nominate a veteran today, December 5th. Jamie and the team, Great Bay Spa and Sauna in Portsmouth, will be picking a winner. And I, yours truly, CJ, and our crew will be there, right in their brand new, they just opened it a year or two ago, showroom in Portsmouth. And the veteran will be there that they selected with his or her family. It's pretty cool to see, usually tears of joy and can't believe it. And then they go into the showroom and they say to the veteran, you pick which one you want. What design? Do you want wood on the outside? Do you like that marble look? You pick the hot tub. We'll bring it. We'll install it and hook it up for you because you served. Hot Tubs for Heroes, the pulse of an H.com. Nominate someone today. J-Dog on the boards. Before we get to we're going to hear from Doug Tangton. Apparently, the Trump transition, we now have a better glimpse of who the treasury choice is going to be. A lot more on mayors and governors in so-called blue-run cities and states, doubling, tripling down. They want to defy the Trump administration coming in, saying, you better not come after our illegals. We're going to fight you. Okay, we'll hear more about that in a little bit. And Kamala Harris, where's she been? She's on vacation. I mean, it's not like we have long-range missiles being fired between Russia and Ukraine and be close to the situation room or tensions in the Middle East. Okay, good time to take some time off. Front and center is the vice president of the United States. What does that mean? We'll have more on that. But J-Dog, good morning. 6-hour studios here in our capital region. Thanksgiving week. People are going to start to travel today. We're going to have more from the state police, brought to you by Auto Fair, talking about safety out there over the next few days and next week if you're coming back Monday. But you just heard from AAA, more than 80 million Americans are going to plan to travel more than 50 miles from their home. And then, of course, the air stuff begins today. The TSA record numbers expected. I think they're going to expect to set some records tomorrow and Wednesday. J-Dog on the boards. Other than that Washington-Dallas game, J-Dog, most every other game, including the Patriots, they're like blowouts. I didn't have much fun watching the NFL this weekend. But then some blowouts, too. No, they're having some problems, huh? And I don't get it. With all the quarterback talent out there, the quarterback they had playing hasn't played in 3 years for the Niners because Purdy's out. Anyway. All right. Some of the other news talk, Thanksgiving. Wow. Getting ready for it, J-Doc? Does it feel it feels like we're gonna have a shorter week for most, and you know what? I'm not fighting it. I'm not fighting it. It's good to be here. Always an honor and a blessing. But I gotta tell you, I think a lot of people I heard a funny story coming in. I'll come back to where the where Kamala Harris, where she is, I guess. I guess everyone deserves a vacation or is entitled to a vacation day. But with all the stuff going on in the world, you think you'd wait a little bit to maybe you're out. But we'll see. Close to the situation room, as they say. Just a phone call away. But I heard a story in our national news coming in that a lot of Americans will not bring up politics around the dinner table at Thanksgiving, and I'm not surprised by that. Probably a good idea to avoid the heavy duty stuff because you don't want a food fight in the living room with turkey bones. But it is kind of interesting, isn't it? People are. It was interesting. I was with some loved ones and friends yesterday, and I'm just sort of wise enough, I guess, wise enough not to bring it up with some people. I do it in the mornings here, and everyone at the table where I was yesterday in Portsmouth knew that. But then someone who was visiting, haven't seen him in a while, and he says, just in that right the moment when the server's coming to take an order, he said, "Hey Jack, someone sent me the interview you did with Trump before the election, almost 14 minutes. That was a great interview. He was very relaxed. You asked him everything, and." He goes, "What do you think? Were you surprised?" He goes, "I couldn't be happier. I've been in a good mood since that Tuesday night." And of course, half the table didn't vote for Trump. You know what I mean? It's just like you can see that in the social settings. And then you go forward to Thanksgiving where people have maybe had a cold beverage or a warm beverage or two, and someone brings it up. And next thing you know, oh my goodness, a food fight it's probably good advice to avoid talking about that. Although it's sad, you should be able to discuss your politics without people yelling at you and screaming at you. It's just funny. But this one friend, he just comes out and says it, and about two people, including his better, smarter, prettier half, or after Tuesday, I'll say his wife says, "Really, really, you have to go there." And of course, I didn't say a word. I just sat there. I never said a word. It was pretty funny. All right, some of the other news talk we're getting into this morning. Really, we're in this pretty serious transition period. And in terms of locally, you have such a changing of the guard, brand new gubernatorial, governor coming in. So after the gubernatorial race here, new governor of New Hampshire, new leaders in the state house, both House Speaker and Minority Leader, and Senate President and Senate Minority Leaders. And nationally, Donald Trump moving fast and furious. Naming now, we're going to hear from Doug Tengden, World Market Advisors, who the Treasury Secretary might be. And it is kind of interesting. I'm talking to people this outside of the administration, but part of the administration, this new agency that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to head up to target, basically government waste. Oh my goodness. It's got no one in Washington knows how to read this. It is just hilarious to watch. There's even rumors out there that Musk, because Comcast is making it pretty clear they want to dump the cable network MSNBC, declining viewership. It's becoming a liability. Would Elon Musk be on X go and buy one of these networks that's being basically rejected? I don't know. So we'll have a lot of going on, but transition in Washington, transition here, and we're going into the Thanksgiving holiday period. And whatever you're doing, thank you for finding us. Thank you for joining us. If you're listening online, streaming, Android, Apple, hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Thank you so much for checking in with us. Tomorrow, I want to preview this, and I want to thank J-Dog. Thank you. I got it this morning. Amanda Grapponi Osmer dropped off the book, 100 Years in the Making, Grapponi Automotive, the founding 100 years. And, of course, the anniversary was November 15th when we did our Bringing Back the Trades live program at New Hampshire Technical Institute in Concord, the community college with Mike Rowe. Amanda dropped off the book. Tomorrow she'll be in our studios talking about that. But more importantly, how successful that Friday and that whole period was bringing back the trades. How we were able to double. And, of course, the Pulse of an Age, Benny Media. We were one of the major sponsors with Amanda and several others. We were able to double the number of scholarships that were awarded that one day to a young person coming out of high school to go into one of our community colleges to get an associate's degree in the trades and then go off on their way and never look back. Never look back. Talk about being successful. So I think we were able to give away on that Friday $110,000 in scholarships in total. And Amanda tomorrow is going to be in with some of the community college presidents, wrapping that up. And we're going to talk about ways we can sustain this and keep it going. Going to take a quick break. We'll check in with some of our regular contributors. J Dog on the board, 6 Hour Studios, Thanksgiving Day week. It starts early. People are going to be hitting the roads really today. I think this afternoon, middle of the day, you're going to see increased volumes pretty much every day up until Wednesday. Things will slow down, of course, I think, for the actual holiday. And then a busy weekend forecasted in our region. Weather-wise, we start our Monday pretty nice out there. Some sun, a little bit of a windy weekend, but not a bad looking Monday. Got some blue sky out there and some sun across our region. Then maybe some of the wet stuff back tomorrow. We'll tell you how the forecast looks for your Turkey Day. Three, not one, three J Dog NFL games on, starting with Lions, of course, and Bears. I think that's 12:30 will be the kickoff, the Turkey game there. But we have three on Thursday. Hey Google, hey Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. J Dog on the boards. Jack Heath back in a moment. All right, welcome back. I just saw we're going to hear from Doug Tengden in a little bit on who the Treasury boss, the Treasury Secretary is going to be. And I got to tell you, I don't know who the Trump team is going to pick, but they can't do any worse than the current Treasury Secretary leaving the Biden-Harris administration, Janet Yellen. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yep, that's right. I just have to take a moment on this one because I can't resist to maybe get you a little bit going this morning. Uh, I just have to chuckle because I'm looking at. Here we go. You look at Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary for the Biden administration, leaving the post. She's the outgoing Treasury Secretary, and I just have to say, I really do just have to say because I can't resist. I'm sorry. This is the this is the this is the Janet Yellen, the outgoing Treasury Secretary. I don't care who Trump picks to be the new Treasury chief. You can't do any worse than Janet Yellen. Never created a private sector job in her life. Former Fed chair. She's the one who made the term transitory cool. Inflation. Don't worry about it, Jack. Don't worry about the cost of eggs or chicken or milk. It's transitory. I'm like, transitory? Where did that term come from? Oh, it's transitory. Oh, and then let's just pump trillions of dollars into the economy real fast, chasing too few goods and create the biggest inflationary fire in 50 years. That Janet Yellen. Yeah, inflation's only transitory. If that's the case, I got some really good real estate for you. Oceanfront property, Madam Secretary, in Arizona. If you want to buy it, inflation is only transitory, not yeah, that person. So I'm just sort of chuckling at some of this. I don't care who Trump picks, but you can't do any worse than that. I'm telling you that right now. Amazing we made it this far, but we're still paying for. I mean, I don't know about you. A lot of people are going to be grocery shopping the next few days. Wait till you check out of the grocery store if you go to Hannaford or Market Basket or wherever you go locally. Good luck. Good luck. Hopefully your credit card debt is not max. I wanted to come back to a story I posted on the social media page for our show. And welcome back, 6 Hour Studios on a pretty good looking Monday to start our very busy travel period week for Thanksgiving. We're going to have more on the roadways from our friends at the New Hampshire State Police, brought to you by AutoFair, coming up the next hour. But there's an article by a local reporter. Her name is Jess Mikado out of Massachusetts, published November 21st. Out of the Bay State, homeless Massachusetts mom waiting for emergency housing for months while illegal migrants, get preference. And she drills down on the city of Taunton, Massachusetts. Taunton, listen to this. This is what Governor Maura Healey is defending. Let me repeat that. This is what the Massachusetts governor is defending and doubling down and tripling down. Tone deaf on the results of the election. But old liberal Massachusetts, this reporter, good for her, by the way, and her name again, Jess Mikado, Machado, published November 21st, Community Bulletin. I don't know what the local news is, but Taunton, Massachusetts. And she's written a good piece. In the city of Taunton, Massachusetts, the Clarion Hotel is closed to the public. And it has been for quite a while. It is now housing 140 migrant, quote unquote, families since the fall of 2023. Over the past 9 months, she says, I have reported on the hotel, detailing the number of police calls to the building, transportation costs, as well as legal issues facing the property. She said you can read her comprehensive 3-part series on the Taunton Hotel here on this page. So if you look up her name, you can read that separately. But she talked about this mom, a Fall River woman by the first name of Amanda, and she was on a wait list for emergency housing. And after her work reporting on the Clarion Hotel, she couldn't help but to wonder why it was harder for a Massachusetts resident with children, a Massachusetts resident. Let me repeat that. A Massachusetts resident with children seeking emergency housing. Why was it harder for her to get housing than it was for an illegal migrant who was in Massachusetts getting transportation cost. Are you ready for this? The hotel bill is covered, laundry services, health care, and a daily stipend. So she went and interviewed this woman, Amanda, the single mom seeking emergency housing, again, a Massachusetts resident. She said she's lived in Fall River, she told Jess, for approximately 25 years. I've always had my own place and was able to maintain it without any assistance, but probably due to inflation and some other things. She goes, what circumstances led you to become homeless? I've had several issues with my physical health and I have several surgeries, all of which translate to periods of time I was not able to work. It caused me to fall behind on my rent. Landlord had been wanting me to move so she could move into the unit and have family move into her unit downstairs. She chose to jump on the opportunity to file for eviction when she couldn't continue to work. So after that, she was she lost her place to live. She got her Section 8 certificate after waiting 13 years for it, despite what you may think my portion of the rent was close to $1,000. She couldn't afford it. So she basically was seeking emergency housing. And she went through this long process of trying to get it, waiting for months. And then she found out that an area near where she was looking for it, the Clarion Hotel, had rooms, taxpayer dollars, but you had to be an illegal migrant, not a Massachusetts resident. Does this sound at all correct or right to you? But it gets worse. Massachusetts, this is worth talking about because it's really close to where you and I live and go to bed and wake up at night. Massachusetts is going to spend more than $1 billion in taxpayer money this year alone on housing, feeding, transporting, caring for, and supporting illegal migrants who come into the Bay State. So residents like Amanda, a young mom who's seeking emergency housing, will wait for months. How about a veteran? How about this one, Governor Healy? How many homeless veterans? We had on Friday's show the great Harbor Care folks from Nashua, New Hampshire, the second largest, but they're statewide footprint. They're a veteran service nonprofits, veteran service organization. Henry, the CEO, was on talking about their wonderful Thanksgiving dinner they're doing in Nashua, New Hampshire, the day after Thanksgiving for veterans and the public, really, putting on a big feed. But I wanted to have Henry on, and he wanted to be on to promote that, to let veterans know about that. But beyond that, I asked him, how are we doing in New Hampshire with trying to end the number of homeless veterans? And he said that, I think, J-Dog, correct me if I'm wrong, what they know of, but of course the number's higher, only what they know of, just under 150 statewide homeless vets in New Hampshire, 150. Doesn't sound like a big number, but in my opinion, one is too many. Not to mention veteran suicide. How about Massachusetts? I bet you in the greater Boston area, Dorchester, Southie, Quincy, Jamaica, JP, Jamaica Plain, Boston proper. I bet you there's, I don't know, don't hold me to it. And again, one is too many. I bet you there's less than 500 homeless veterans in Boston. Boston is paying for and housing somewhere like 20 to 30,000 migrants or illegal migrants who came to Massachusetts seeking shelter, asylum, whatever you want to call it, but they're not even from there, not residents, they're not veterans, in places like Taunton, Mass, the Clarion Hotel. And good for this person to do some investigating, enterprising reporting, which even around here is rare these days. But isn't it shameful that in Massachusetts you have hundreds of veterans who are homeless and you don't do a damn thing about it? And you care more about fighting the Trump administration to not let them take any of your quote unquote migrants or illegals. You're going to fight to keep them, but you won't fight, Governor Healy. You won't fight to end veteran homelessness because you could do it with a fraction of the cost of that $1 billion. I mean, heck, you could build a Taj Mahal just for veterans. Or how about residents like Amanda, a young mom who's been evicted because she had surgeries and physical health, and she couldn't, I call it rentflation. She couldn't keep up with the rent. She's been seeking emergency housing in your generous Massachusetts Bay State for 13 months and can't get it because you're spending all the money on migrants and illegal migrants who came to Massachusetts. You're so hell-bent to fight for them, but you don't stand up for young moms like Amanda from Fall River, Mass, tough times, homeless, basically, You don't stand up for homeless veterans in Boston or Mass, but you'll stand up and fight. Do you ever think your priorities are blank backwards, Governor? Did you ever think for a New York second? Do you ever think? But then again, you live in Massachusetts, and part of the Massachusetts is the People's Republic of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Guess who lives there? Guess who lives in Cambridge? Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren lives in Cambridge. And her priority since the election on Tuesday a few weeks ago is to she's concerned about how much it costs people to take care of their pets. I'm not making this up. Senator Warren's new crusade is how much it costs to take care of your pet. Can you thank goodness it's down there and not here. Thank goodness this craziness, this nutty priorities are down there and not here. Some commentary, 603-228-2080. We come back. Michael Graham, nhjournal.com. See what he's cooking up. A little bit later on, who's the new Treasury Secretary pick? It can't be any more ineffective or clueless than the current one, Janet Yellen, who made the term transitory really cool, telling us for a couple of years, oh, don't worry about inflation. It's only transitory. Back on the pulse in a moment. All right, Michael Graham, NH Journal. He doesn't care about cooking a turkey. He's probably going to light something up and sit in a cigar room. Good morning, Michael. Nice, nice. Good for you. All right, Michael. As we head into the week, I was just talking about some oddities in Massachusetts on priorities. How about can we at least agree? Can we get rid of illegal migrants who break the law here and like rape and murder someone? No, they say we don't. When I've had them on the show, they say we don't have any sanctuary cities here. Well, let them. You know what? Let them. Hey, let them. Stand by and fight for what they believe in. At least it's crystal clear. I just raised a question like that young mother, Amanda from Fall River, who's a Massachusetts resident, waiting in line for emergency housing with her kids for 13 months, but the Clarion Hotel is full, fully paid for. Migrants living there. And then what about veterans in Massachusetts? You could end veteran homelessness, but Governor Healy, when's the last time you heard her fight for veterans? Oh yeah, get it? Yeah. But what about in Bow? What about Bow, New Hampshire? What's the numbers? Again, but Ray Buckley will stay in that job until Ray Buckley wants to leave. Now, I don't know what that means, but I think the other thing is taxes. I think the AOT Craig Ray showed you can't be cute or mess around when it comes to proposing new taxes in tax sensitive New Hampshire. And the big thing I'm hearing the Democrats pushing is property taxes are going to go up because AOT won't cut taxes or raise new taxes. Property taxes are going to go up. So that's going to be the theme of this next session. Yes. Yep. The enrollment's coming down, so instead of talking about cutting special. Right. Yeah. Yep. Well number 1, the good thing about local property taxes, even if they're too high, they're controlled at the local level. So if people are having sticker shock, get educated, go to the meeting, speak up. But if we're spending too much, the biggest thing I think is common sense, Michael. If you're having declining enrollment in schools and towns and high schools, and you start closing schools and consolidate schools. We did it in my town growing up, which was a novel concept back then. We just split the school day because they didn't know what to do. They had declining enrollment and they didn't want to spend money because the old New England frugality used to exist in Massachusetts before this liberal lunacy took over. So if you have a high school or a middle school or an elementary school that has a third as many students, you consolidate it or combine the school day to cut costs. You start cutting, and that's what you do in a business, by the way. You start cutting when you have to cut something, you cut or you get more efficient. That's what they need to do. Thank you, Michael. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll tell you who the new Treasury Secretary looks like it's going to be. Doug Tengden, World Market Advisors. .com. Top of the 10 o'clock, Neil Levesque will check in on this transitory, well, that's inflation, right? Not. Transitional period, nationally and locally. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the pulse of an H. J-Dog on the board, 6-hour studios. He's loving that leftover pork chop that I grilled and gave him a little bit this morning, his little appetite. You like the marinade on that, dog? Good chef, right? Oh, no, you can elaborate. You can say it's really good. You don't have to just like, oh, good deal, really. Huh? I'm just kidding you. Back in a moment. All right, we are back. Bruins not in action, I guess. What tomorrow night? I think Vancouver's in Bruins. So let me just throw out the question, J Dog. Tom Brady was saying during his coverage yesterday that you get to this point, Thanksgiving in the NFL season, you find out who you are and who you're not as a team, right? So we know who the Patriots are. They got shellacked. I definitely think Drake May is here to stay. He's a dynamic new quarterback. But as a team, do they have a chance at any more wins? When you look at the last few, they were competitive against the Rams. They fell short. They got blown up by Miami. They always do badly in Miami, no matter what. They have a chance here for another win or not? Does anyone? I mean, if you not much. Aaron Rodgers last season or not? If you had to say, no, 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 no one, no. And it is a little bit. It's a little bit like you reach a point where you are physically, you're too old to play the game. Your best days are behind you. Well, it doesn't matter what he thinks. The results speak for themselves. All right. Hey, we're going to Doug Tegden, worldmarketadvisors.com on the economic front. Looks like we're going to have a new treasury choice for the Trump team coming in. Doug, I said some commentary earlier. You can correct me. You can lecture me. You can say, Jack, you're off base. I think Janet Yellen is the most overrated monetary official in my lifetime because I used to have fun at her expense when she was the Fed chair for so many years. Then she made the term transitory cool by telling people like us, the sheep out here, don't worry about inflation. Don't worry about the price of groceries. It's transitory. I said at my show at the time, what is she talking about? Transitory. Never created a private sector job in her life. I don't care who Trump picks. He could pick a high school kid from your neck of the woods in Hanover who has a lemonade stand, and they're going to do better than her. Take it away, Doug. All right. Well, is there an agenda there? What's Well, at least he's got some goals, but let's talk about the first one. I'm all for reducing our deficit. We just had someone on the show Thursday or Friday, J-Dog, Mike Murphy from that group in Washington. It's a committee for fiscal responsibility talking about the deficit. And he was going through what we're spending just on interest for our debt. I think if we can cut what he just said down to 3%, how do you do that though, Doug? How do you do that? No, Musk and Ramaswamy. Yeah. You don't have to get me going on that because I remember getting to know Steve Forbes when he ran in New Hampshire on that. It made the perfect sense to me. I think he was talking in the 17% range. I could actually understand it. In other words, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if you made $1 million a year or $80,000 a year. If you were above that poverty line or whatever it was, you're going to pay 17%. Flat, simple. But Doug, it has to get through. It has to get through. It has to get through Congress. No, but you and I know, Doug, that any fiscal stuff like that has to go and pass Congress. Well, yeah. Well, again, I get to know Steve Forbes pretty well, better than well, and I thought the world of him. Gentleman, decent person, very smart on fiscal policy. That was, I think, in the mid to late 90s, not maybe in 90. eh, I'm trying to think. It was a long time ago he ran, but his whole campaign was the flat tax. And he was right, by the way. Oh, well, yeah, but the other thing I'm sick and tired of is this I don't know where the falsehoods come, but this disingenuous crap when you start talking about tax the rich, they're not paying their fair share. And none of the people who say that will even have the decency to tell you where the line is for a couple. What's the gross income where you consider someone rich? Do you start taxing their net assets like their home? If they have a home that's worth, appraises at 2.2 million, are they rich? But they're not making 250 grand a year. None of these people tell me what that line is of who's rich in America. And I'm not talking Elon Musk. I'm talking about middle to upper income people who pay plenty of taxes and they're called, they're not paying their fair share. The other thing is, there was a good story nationally that said during the holidays, you don't want to probably bring up politics at the dinner table of Thanksgiving, probably sage advice. But I've often said since I was a kid, because of the household I grew up in, if you want to understand someone's true politics, Doug, and it's right up your lane, start talking tax policy. Once you start talk tax policy with someone, you'll find out if they're liberal progressive like Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, moderate, or someone who's entrepreneurial who starts thinking like a Steve Forbes. The best way to ascertain what people really stand for politically is talk about taxes. Because once you get that on the table, you'll get a very clear like ultrasound or MRI of who the person is. Well, again, Doug, we'll see. I appreciate it. By the way, prosperity is not created in the public sector; it's created in the private sector. Correct? Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right, Doug. Thank you. Make it a great Thanksgiving. Is this coincidence? I was just talking about Governor Healy in Massachusetts using hotels like Taunton, Mass, to house migrants and not local residents who need emergency shelter. Now that looks like she says they'll consider phasing out the use of hotels and motels to shelter illegal migrants, mostly, I guess. You can't make this stuff up. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H.